Hey everybody, and welcome to Rock Video Rental. I am Brandon. With me, as always, is Caleb. We are continuing on with Awesomely Bad Horror Month. We're going to be talking about a movie with one of the best titles in 80s B movies, and that is Chopping Mall. But before we get to all that, we're going to do like we always do. And Caleb, you been watching anything cool?
Same old, same old. Bob's Burgers, nothing really new there. And then watching one episode a week of the Fallout series. So,
Rock?
that's been holding up pretty good. So, I know usually I don't watch too much, but especially with how crazy work's been, there's not too much I'm gonna be adding at this time. So, not a lot going on.
Rock.
So, if you've got anything good, you can carry this part of the segment.
I surprisingly do not have very much this week. Um, Continuing on with the normal stuff that we have been watching, Grey's Anatomy, and I was watching a lot of King of the Hill lately. Uh, I watched the latest episode of Joe Bob's Last Drive-In. It was on movie Death Spa. I don't remember if I mentioned that last week. If I did, I apologize, but I don't know. It's Death Spa is a really goofy movie. It's like 80s fitness horror. It takes place in a like this fancy gym slash spa. It's got like some supernatural elements to it. It's kind of similar to Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
There's some really funny, strange kills in it, but pretty fun. It would pair well with another 80s fitness horror movie called Killer Workout, aka Aerobicide. And it's made by David A. Pryor, who is the dude who made Deadly Prey, and it has Ted Pryor in it, the dude who played Mike Danton in Deadly Prey.
Nice.
I would say that one I like better than Death Spa, but that was a pretty fun episode. And then last, I know since we mentioned video games, I've been playing Wreckfest on the Nintendo Switch. It's on pretty much every platform, and it's like a car racing game, but like not only do you race cars, you can have like demolition derbies and stuff.
Okay.
And there's a wide variety of vehicles you can have on it, but they're all like junky. You get like these old beat up cars, and you get extra points if like you ram people and like spin them out or completely wreck their car so they can't race anymore. And I found out playing that game that sometimes that's like the best strategy because there'll be like, okay, your goal for this race is you have to finish in first, and you're only racing against one other car, but his car is a lot faster than yours. So like you have to try to like keep up with him, and then I've learned that you just like spin him out or smash him into walls or something, so you can get enough of a lead so you can win. But it's pretty fun. They even have like riding mowers and coach cars, which are like actual coaches that people have rigged up into cars that you can race.
Okay.
Yeah, and those are pretty fun. There was a combine demolition derby that was fun too.
Rock.
Yeah, so definitely recommend that game. I think I paid like $17 for it, used from GameStop. So you don't really have to put too much money into it, and I don't even think there's really much for DLC on it that I've
Nice.
seen. So pretty much all the game is open up for you. But really, other than that, um, the only other thing I watched was Chopping Mall, so we probably should just talk about it. Chopping Mall. It is from 1986 and is directed by Jim Wynorski. The plot is a group of young shopping mall employees stay behind for a late night party in one of the stores. When the small, I'm sorry, when the mall goes on lockdown before they can get out, the robot security system malfunctions and goes on a killing spree.
Dun
The
dun dun.
cast. We have Kelly Maroney as Allison, Tony Odell as Ferdy, Russell Todd as Rick, Carrie Emerson as Linda, Barbara Crampton as Susie, Nick Siegel as Greg, John Terlesky as Mike, Susie Slater as Leslie, Paul Bartel as Paul, and Mary Voronov as Mary.
Mary as Mary.
It was a part she was born to play.
Oh yeah.
This is a movie I've seen quite a few times. I think I mentioned last week that I had it on a one of those movie sets that you could get at Walmart back in the day where there was like four horror movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like a DVD pack or whatever for like $10. And I remember this was on there. Class of 1984, I believe. Another one. Um 976 Evil might have been one of the other ones. I don't remember. I had a couple of those. That's how I got a few of these movies. But this one was one of the better ones and an entertaining movie. Super quick. It's only like an hour and 17 minutes tops.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get in and get out, and it's I don't know, it's just an entertaining, fun movie to watch.
Yeah,
Uh,
the one negative I will say about that is it didn't really do much to give you character development to really care about any of the characters.
no, not really.
But I mean, I think that's I don't think they really cared. I mean, it was quick enough, it was fast enough, it was, it was what it was. It wasn't going for, I mean, well, I don't think it was going for anything amazing, any huge impact. It's a horror movie about robots and let's start the movie.
I mean, it's called Shopping Mall.
Yeah, but nobody got
What are you
chopped.
expecting?
No one got chopped.
Yeah. That's one of the big things about this. It's also got that awesome poster and VHS cover of a robot hand holding on to a red bag that has body parts in it. And the tagline where shopping costs you an arm and a leg.
Yeah, and there's no robot hand.
Yeah.
Misleading.
Um I don't think I have this in my notes, but I knew the answer. So it's originally this movie was not called Shopping Mall.
Oh, okay.
It was called Killbots. And apparently part of the crew working on the movie suggested that they call it Chopping Mall. They thought it was a better title and they thought it would sell better, so they changed it to that to make it more appealing for people to go see. I mean, Chopping Mall's a better name than Killbots,
Yeah.
even though there's no chopping in it. Um,
Yeah, that wasn't the word. I mean, I think, yeah, killing bots would have been done. The title didn't really bother me. I mean, I thought it was kind of funny that nobody literally got chopped, but yeah, it was definitely just one of those fun entertainment ones. So,
yeah, um, definitely what I like to call a popcorn movie,
hmm
where it's not taking itself like too seriously. It's having fun with the idea of it, and it's just like I said, it's a quick in and out. You might not get to know all of the characters. Really, they only focus more on Allison. She's like the final girl.
hmm
And if you're looking at this cast like now, the ones that really stand out are Kelly Maroney as Allison and Barbara Crampton
okay,
because they went on to do like tons of stuff in the 80s. Kelly Maroney was in Night of the Comet was another big movie.
okay,
Um, and then Barbara Crampton was in countless things as well. But And Nick Siegel is George Siegel's nephew, I believe. Something like that. George Siegel, he was on Just Shoot Me. He was on The Goldbergs. He was grandpa.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Pops and Goldbergs. He did tons of stuff. Also, another recognizable person that I didn't mention in the credits is Dick Miller.
Yeah. Yep, I noticed that one. I was like, ah,
Yeah,
hey, there he is.
yeah, he's in almost every single movie you could possibly think of, especially in
He
the 80s.
he wasn't selling anyone guns though.
No, he's usually selling someone guns or he's like a janitor or something, which is what he is in this. Uh, yeah, legendary character actor. But this movie starts off with the video showing the robot security guards, and it reminds me of like beginning of RoboCop, where
Mm-hmm.
they're talking about the Ed 209.
Yeah.
And the robots in this remind me of Rob the robot from the NES.
Oh, they remind me of Short Circuit
Oh yeah, that too, with the big
treads.
triangular tracks that they go on.
Yeah.
Well, they come alive from being electrocuted too by lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Five is alive.
Well,
It's
that little
basically
the little intro part though, I was kind of anticipating that they may have been more of the movie, but I don't even know if he was that old, but he looked old. The old man and the woman were
yeah.
in the press conference thing or whatever it was. They were not very good actors. Just to kind of put it plainly.
Yeah,
And
they were apparently playing the same characters that they played in the movie Eating Raoul,
okay.
which is like a horror comedy. Um yeah, so it's supposed to be like a nod to that old couple.
Well, I was I was totally prepared for them to like be more of a part of the movie and then get killed later on. So I was honestly kind of a little disappointed when that didn't happen.
You're like, dang, I really wanted to see some old people bite it. Oh gosh. Um and it just, you know, it's your typical things run amok. It also makes me think of the episode of The Simpsons where they go to Itchy and Scratchy Land
Oh yeah.
and the animatronic Itchy and Scratchy robots go crazy and turn on people and start trying to kill them. Also because the guy's like, "What? Nothing could possibly go wrong," and it just sets it up too. Which they also say in the Itchy and Scratchy Land episode, where nothing could possibly go wrong. Possibly go wrong. That is the first thing that has ever gone wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, of course, I mean, some of what's going to happen from the setup and all that, but just I I do find it a little bit funny though too, and I don't know if it was the first night, but they were basically saying in the press conference thing like, "Oh, in 2 weeks these are going to be up and running and protecting the mall." And from what I could tell from the way that was being described, it was like the first night these things were being used. So, good job on them.
Yeah, way to go. I'll say one of the best parts of this movie is that mall montage
Yes,
of all the
that
people
was
walking around the mall. They show the different stores, and it's very reminiscent of things like Fast Times at Ridgemont High,
mhm.
just showing the goings on of the mall and like all the people in it, including uh, the guy that's supposed to be like running the robots who gets killed rather quickly into this movie. This movie wastes no time, but with a runtime of an hour and 17 minutes, I mean, you don't really have too much time to waste.
Yeah. Well, it was
Uh,
So to touch on that a little bit, when the malfunction begins, it all seems kind of strange. I mean, okay, I'm not expecting anything deep here. All right. First of all, it's a horror movie. Usually horror movies don't go deep, especially one that's only like an hour or an hour and 17 minutes. Like they're just going at it and having fun. But for robots that are malfunctioning,
Mhm.
they seem to still function.
Right? It's
Like,
just lightning turns them evil.
well, yeah, well, that was the thing though, too. It's just like, okay, we're gonna be evil, and so we're gonna kill this operator guy, but we're not gonna go out in the mall yet until it's time to go out in the mall. It's
Yeah.
like because they started malfunctioning technically before the mall closed.
Hmm.
And then but they patiently waited until it was time for the mall to close, and then they went out and they roamed the mall. Where it's just kind of like, well, if you're malfunctioning, why didn't you just go out and start killing people before they left?
Yeah.
But I mean, I that's a little bit too deep in it, but also at the same time I found it kind of funny where it was just like conveniently malfunctioning in the ways for the movie to have more of that horror element.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, we're introduced to some of our main characters. We get the cocky guy, Mike Brennan, who's constantly chewing gum, and he looks like a young Jim Harbaugh.
Oh my gosh, I know. I totally
Yeah,
thought the
dude,
same
like,
thing.
have you ever seen that picture of Jim Harbaugh on Saved by the Bell?
Oh yeah.
And he's got that big cheesy smile on his face, and it looks exactly like this dude. Like they look like they could be brothers.
Yeah, I would agree.
Uh, the long lost Harbaugh brother, Jerry Harbaugh. So they end up like throwing this party in the mall, and then it's kind of like boom right into the main point of this movie. We also get, yeah, I mentioned Kelly Maroney and Barbara Crampton. They're I guess the two more main girls. We also get Susie Slater, who's has a very memorable scene later in this. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's basically centered around Allison and Ferdy. Allison is Kelly Maroney's character, and Ferdy is like the boy that they're like setting her up with, and she's supposed to be like your everyday normal girl next door kind of type.
hmm And yeah,
Yeah,
well, it's a little bit funny because yeah, they set up that way. She definitely was not the most attractive of the girls in the movie,
yeah,
but honestly, like the way that they had her dressed and everything, she looked like a middle-aged mom.
yeah. They had her super frumpy. She talked about so I when I watched this movie, I've seen this movie plenty of times, but to prepare for the show, I watched the Joe Bob slash Drive-In
Okay.
for it, and he had Kelly Maroney on there talking about this movie, and she talked about her wardrobe and how awful it was, and she said that she had the biggest camel toe in this movie that you could ever see.
Gosh.
They talked about how like, uncomfortable the clothing was. uh, and the director apparently is an interesting guy. I got a little bit more about him in the trivia and facts, but he's done quite a bit of stuff. Um, I believe he did some softcore porn and other things too, some music videos maybe. But
So he has a versatile portfolio.
yeah, to say the least, he's an interesting guy. Um, and then I mean, Susie Slater is like they have like it's supposed to be like her dad in there, and she's paired off with 80s Jim Harbaugh. And of course, they have to have a scene specifically set up so you get to see her boobs because it's an 80s movie.
Nope.
Uh, oh, Leslie is her her character's name. It's one of those things where it's like you don't remember the characters' names because they don't spend very much time building the characters.
Exactly.
You're more apt to remember Allison because she's the final girl, and they give
Yep.
her the most like personality out of the whole bunch.
Um,
Well, there's an even more pointless scene where Barbara Crampton takes her top off too, where she's got like her back facing the guy that she's with, and she's doing like some dance, and it's like she takes her bra off and then instantly turns around. So there's like maybe a 1 second scene. It was like you really even had to have that. I mean,
well, I mean, if they didn't have that in there, then the movie would only be like an hour and 15 minutes long.
exactly. You wouldn't want to have any more explanation of what's going on. We had to put some more money shots in there. Uh, yeah, some of the deaths in this are kind of cool. Uh, we mentioned Dick Miller. He's like the janitor, and he's cleaning up some slop or whatever, and the robot comes and hassles him, and he ends up electrocuting Dick Miller. And it
Hmm.
always cracks me up in this movie because every time one of the robots kills somebody, it says like "Have a nice day."
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a nice day. And like rolls off. In the monotone voice, is very reminiscent of RoboCop,
Hmm.
which I believe this predates RoboCop.
Okay.
So maybe RoboCop was maybe Peter Weller was getting his tone of voice from the Killbots and Chopping Mall. I doubt it.
It's a huge inspiration for all of the
Yeah.
movies.
Uh, this movie went on to inspire very many 80s robot movies or cyborgs. Um, oh, some of the you talked about Kelly Maroney's clothes. Well, how about that Ferdy guy when he's getting ready and he's looking in the mirror and he's like pops the collar on his shirt. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's the look you want to go for, bro.
Yeah, classy.
Oh man.
Well, he had a lot going for himself, so
Oh yeah, the big thick glasses and the super tight jeans. Nerdy looking guy. Oh. Some of the other deaths we get, Barbara Crampton gets set on fire, and that was a super long burning scene.
yeah.
Like she was on fire for quite a while. Well, obviously the stunt man was on fire for quite a while, but
Well, so
it
that
was a little bit
was
excessive. It was almost like the fire scene that Kane Hodder did in Friday the 13th, the oh, what is it, the New Blood, where he fights off against the telekinesis girl,
oh
and she
yeah.
sets Jason on fire, and he's on fire for like 20 seconds.
Well, so I don't know if you were going in order and everything or not, but Mike and Susie died before
Yeah,
that, wasn't it?
yeah, Susie
Cuz
Slater's character, Leslie.
yeah, cuz
Yeah, hers was hers is the most memorable of this movie. Um, so her and Mike fool around. That's when she's like, "Oh, I need a pack of smokes," and it's when they have the dumb added scene where she pulls a sheet down and shows him her boobs, and then he takes off and he goes to a cigarette machine
yeah.
in the mall. Oh man, have you ever seen one of those things?
Oh yeah. I remember when I was pretty young, I saw one at a mall. I'm pretty sure I was like waiting for my parents for something. I was messing around with it because it was it made me think of I mean, I knew what it was, but it made me think of like a little toy machine or I don't know, a little game, the pull.
Yeah,
I can't even think of what it was like, but yeah, I was just like messing around with it, and I do remember how malls had those.
yeah. I remember seeing one at a oh man, it was like almost like a VFW hall or something like that.
Okay.
as a kid where they would have like events, like, people that have weddings and places like that. And I remember there was like this hallway going down to the bathroom. I don't even remember what town it was in, but I remember going there and seeing like a cigarette machine. And now it blows my mind because like what's stopping any kid from going up to a vending machine and buying a pack of cigarettes?
Right.
Uh,
I wonder when those went out.
oh, probably like the early
Mm,
90s, I would think, or late 80s.
yeah.
It was relatively soon because that was the only one ever remember seeing,
Yeah,
and that was in Podunk, Michigan, in the middle of nowhere. But
right.
so Mike goes and gets the cigarettes, and he gets hassled by the robot, and the um
He cuts his throat or rips his throat
yeah,
or
something like that. Like it sends off like this little arm. It's kind of funny. And then Leslie goes looking for him, and then she can't see him because like the hallway's dark, but she trips over his leg and sees that his throat is slit. And then a killbot like chases her and is like firing lasers at her. It's like these neon pink, almost like our podcast logo pink
Oh yeah.
lasers firing at her, and then it's like the laser sounds are almost like Star Wars.
Hmm.
And then she gets cornered, she turns around and like screams, and then the killbot shoots a laser and explodes her head, and it's amazing. Head explosions are always amazing.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And of course it's right in front of everybody else.
Yeah, so they can see it, and the blood like splatters against the window they're standing by.
But the that leads to a little bit of the absurdity on why do security robots need lasers for a mall?
Right? I think they might have been for like stunning purposes,
But that was definitely
almost
not
like
a
a
stunning
taser,
laser.
but like that was a stun laser cranked up to 11.
Yeah, because
Because if
then
you notice, she got hit like a couple other times and it just kind of like sizzled on her back.
true.
And it's like the robot's like, okay, I'm done messing around with this girl, and just blows her head off.
Yeah,
The only
like
thing better than that scene was at the end where they show the credits. And then it's like they show that clip and it says Susie Slater, and then her head explodes. It's like 80s sitcom credits at the end, but hers is the head explosions.
oh, gotta be.
Oh, it was great. It was right around that time too where they started arming themselves to fight the robots.
Yeah. Well, because the plan was the guys were going to fight they were all trying to escape, but then they couldn't. And so the guys were going to fight the robots, and then the girls were going to try to escape to like the
Get help.
basement or parking garage or something like that.
Yeah.
And but then of course the girls made the excellent decision of being like, let's go help them. So
Yeah, they did a thing with the elevator where they like threw a propane tank on top of the elevator and they're all trying to shoot at it and no one can hit it. But of course, Allison's like a dead eye. And then, um, didn't you say her dad was like in the military or something like that?
I think she said he was a Marine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
because yeah, the I think that was the first attempt of them destroying one was they oh wait, no. The guys thought they destroyed one when they threw a propane tank at one and they blew it up and it fell over.
yeah.
And they
Yeah.
thought they destroyed that one. Then the
But it tipped
second
itself back over.
yeah, the second one was the elevator where they had it chasing one of them into the elevator and then the guy jumped off and they had propane tanks on top of it and then the elevator like crashed into the
Yeah,
floor or
drop
whatever.
down.
Yeah.
Oh. Then we get a couple quick deaths that really aren't like anything amazing. Like Greg gets thrown off a balcony and
Yeah.
then Linda gets killed.
How did she get killed
I
again?
don't even remember. In my notes, I just had Linda is killed. Yeah,
Some
the
train.
other ones, it's like, okay, Barbara Crampton gets set on fire and is on fire for a long time. The one girl gets her head exploded. Young Jim Harbaugh gets his throat slit, and then it's like I don't remember exactly what happened to Linda.
Well, yeah, Linda
Uh,
and her husband. Man, what happened?
yeah, Rick got electrocuted.
Oh yeah, he got mad when she got killed.
Yeah,
Um, I think she just got shot or something
yeah, that sounds
with a
about right.
laser or something, and then he got mad and tried to charge the thing down with some little amigo type thing, and in the process took out a robot and killed himself.
Yeah,
So then out of the, which we didn't mention, there were three robots in total. So they were successful in getting rid of two robots. But
two, yep,
then it was Allison and Ferdy and
yep.
one robot left.
And Ferdy gets knocked out, and then Allison like baits the robot into going to a paint store, and she dumps out like a whole bunch of chemicals, paint and like thinner and all that stuff. And she gets the robot to go in there, and then she had like a road flare that she stuck down the front of her shirt.
Yeah, way back at the beginning.
Yeah, and then she throws it in there and it explodes the robot. And then in a surprise fashion that catches me off guard every time that Ferdy's okay
Oh, really?
at the end. And then there's kind of like a happy ending, which you don't really expect with a movie like this.
Yeah. Well, part of the thing that was a little funny to me, oh man, when was it? No. They were somewhere and the husband wife couple was calculating like how much they had done in damages. And I was just like, you do realize you have like the biggest lawsuit on your hands
Dude,
for
this is exactly word for word what Joe Bob said during one of
because
the breaks in the movie.
I'm just like, dude, you're getting chased by these robots. Like the whole mall is gonna sue the crap out of this company
Oh
for
yeah.
damages, and like the families of the people who got killed, like you guys are gonna be set.
Yeah,
Like the
they could sue the creators of the robot and the mall for implementing the robots.
yeah, so it's just like, I mean, do they have any incriminating thing that could get them out of it? I mean, the worst thing would be that they were partying in the store afterwards,
Yeah,
but I mean, I don't think that there would be much of anything that would give them an excuse for their friends getting killed.
right.
So,
Oh man. You know what just dawned on me what these robots remind me of as well is the Rocky 4 robot.
oh yeah.
Happy birthday, Polly. Oh, yeah, and then at the end they wrap it up, like I said, with the sitcom style credits that are great.
Mhm.
And it's just that's a case of this movie just having fun and like knowing that it's garbage,
Yeah.
just a throwaway popcorn movie. So they have that at the end and it's just entertaining.
Yeah. I think so. I don't think it was necessarily bad. It wasn't exactly great because the thing that they tried to do to fill in some time was some of that dumb kind of, I wouldn't even call it teen, but comedy, filler stuff like that. Jock Mike guy was given Ferdy crap, and his other friend, they were, just kind of trying to have that friend banter and stuff.
Yeah,
And it was just not natural, not very good, but it wasn't set up for it. It was, I would have much rather that they just kind of like cut the crap and then kind of extended the whole horror running away from robots part of the
yeah,
movie. Because yeah, they did not. I mean, unless there was a lot of different stuff that they cut out in trying to set that up originally, it was just like, just lean into what you're doing. Just lean into the concept of the robots and, you know, go go more into that instead of trying to do a half-ass job of the character development.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think necessarily it's fully on the actors because I don't think anybody was like too horrible in this. It was a
Yeah.
pretty likable cast.
I don't think anybody. The only two people that I had in my notes specifically about their acting not being good was that old couple at the beginning.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I think everybody did fine, but I also don't think that anybody did great.
No, I think Kelly Maroney was probably the best of the
Yeah.
bunch. And I mean, she was the main girl, so she was the best written character.
Mm.
There was one, there's tons of lines in this, but the one that really stood out to me this time watching it um, was a scene where Barbara Crampton's character and like this guy start fooling around. And it's after she does that lame, take her top off and then quickly turn around and go at the guy. Where they're like, he's like kissing her and stuff, and he's like, "Oh man, you smell like pepperoni." And she's like, "Really?" And then he says, "Wait, I like pepperoni." I don't know why that made me laugh so hard this time I watched it. I'm like, that's such a terrible like spot of dialogue, but
Yeah,
it just fits this movie, I guess.
there was a decent amount of that.
Yeah. Oh, anything else you want me to get into trivia and facts?
No, I think I'm good. Go ahead.
All right. So this movie was produced by Julie Corman. She is the wife of Roger Corman, who recently just passed away. Um, Vestron specifically wanted a horror movie that was based in a mall. So Corman told Jim Wynorski if he wanted to direct the movie, he had to come up with a movie with a mall horror theme.
Oh, they did that.
Yeah. Yeah, so he wrote it and directed it. Dick Miller's character has the same name that his character had in the movie A Bucket of Blood,
Oh,
which we watched last year,
yeah.
2 years ago. Um, so Dick Miller was a longtime friend of Roger Corman and was in tons of his movies since they met in the 1960s. Jim Wynorski went on to do a few more B movies and then mostly erotic thrillers, like movies titled The Hills Have Thighs
Oh my,
and Devil Wears Nada.
oh my gosh.
I believe Bear Wench Project was another one he did, and I remember watching that one on Cinemax late at night in college. Oh gosh. So Wynorski actually casted Kelly Maroney because he really wanted to date her. Uh,
Wow.
Kelly ended up replacing Dana Kimmel, who, if you remember, was Chris from Friday the 13th Part 3. She was the main girl in that.
Okay.
Um, but Dana didn't want to do anything sexual in the movie, so Kelly was ended up being casted. And then Jim and Kelly did not end up dating after this.
Wah, wah.
He claims that they did, and she swears up and down that they didn't. But yeah. The film was allowed to shoot in the Sherman Oaks Galleria, which is the exact same mall that was in Commando in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, there you go.
They were allowed to do so as long as they did not damage any of the facilities and removed any traces of their presence before the mall opening at 9 a.m. While the mall's head security didn't like the filmmakers and was constantly accusing them of causing disrepair. The mall's owner was supportive of the film and made sure the production was able to complete its work schedule on time.
Hmm.
I believe they did like a similar thing with George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead, where they shot it like at night after the mall closed, and they were able to use that as long as they didn't like wreck anything.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little surprised because, man, they did a lot of broken glass and stuff.
Yeah, maybe the
Exploding
robots had
elevator.
vacuums on them. Yeah, the exploding elevator and everything. Oh man.
Pyrotechnics. I mean, they didn't really like hold back.
No, they did not. Oh. So this, like I said, this movie was originally released in March 1986 under the title Killbots. It performed poorly, and the producers felt the titles turned off audiences um, who might think it was based on the original movie poster that was a Transformers-like children's cartoon instead of a violent exploitation movie. After some time, the movie was re-released in theaters under the title Chopping Mall with over 15 minutes cut out.
Mm, okay.
Like I said, nobody seems to really know who it was that came up with the title Chopping Mall, and it's odd because there's no chopping in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jim Wynorski said that Roger Corman took him out to lunch before making the movie. He said he bought a yellow legal pad, and after lunch, he said, "This here is what you got to do," and he gave me his version of a film school in an hour. He said everything I learned in film school didn't count. Um, but what he said made a lot of sense, and he said I still have the yellow pad, and I live by it. I now have it memorized, many do's and don'ts that Corman gave him.
Hmm.
And if you know anything about Roger Corman, he made like thousands of movies, basically, just hundreds and hundreds of movies. Kelly Maroney did many of her own stunts in this movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Director Jim Wynorski provided the voices of the three protector robots. So
So
the
it was like
burning
two
scene,
lines.
yeah, basically. The burning scene of Barbara Crampton was actually twice as long and it had to be cut down to avoid an NC-17 rating.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Um, and then the last thing I've got is this movie had an $800,000 budget, and I don't have any of the box office numbers. I couldn't find them anywhere.
What?
Yeah. I'm surprised how many movies that we do that don't have box office numbers where they can't give you a solid like budget. It's a little bizarre. But now we can jump into grades. I pulled from IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think they are?
Oh, 6.0 IMDb.
5.6.
Okay. Rotten Tomato Critic, 62%.
55.
Okay. Giving it too much credit. Audience 59%.
39.
Dang it.
I'm kind of
Way off.
surprised because this movie's kind of like a cult movie.
Yeah.
But you want to go first?
Sure. So this movie is what it is. It is short, quick, fun horror movie. Not a lot of substance to the movie. It is just what it is.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know if I would say I'm not gonna give it more credit than it deserves, or I'm not gonna knock it for as being a bad movie because it's not really bad. I mean, we here we are in awesomely bad horror movie month, but it's not like really bad. It's just goofy, quirky, funny horror.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like it was fantastic. I feel like it's fun to go. It would be fun to go back and watch. Like this one would be an easy one to like if you're hanging out with friends, just throw on
Hmm.
and have playing. I'm trying to contemplate on exactly what to give it because I just don't know if it's good enough to give it a 4. I'm definitely wanting to give it 3.5, but I'm like contemplating 4 because I don't know, because that's the thing. It's just like there's not all that much stuff that I would label as bad. Like the acting was all right, the music was totally 80s. Um, so it fit. So, but I just don't know. I think I'm gonna land at 3.5.
Rock.
So,
I ended up going to the 4.
okay.
Yeah, you said it's like the kind of movie you put on with a group of friends and laugh at, and I've done that a couple times. Once in college, and then um, I had a friend that I worked with at a previous job who came over, and we watched a few movies, and this is one we watched. Like we watched this in like Deadly Prey, so it was a couple movies that you could just sit back and laugh at because they're just kind of ridiculous. I do think the title of Chopping Mall is kind of wasted on this movie
Mm,
because I think Killbots was good enough for something like this. I feel like Chopping Mall just has it's an excellent title for a slasher movie, and I feel like they could have came up with a slasher movie um based in a mall with that title, and it would have fit it a little bit better, I guess.
okay.
I mean, there are some slasher movies based in a mall that I can think of two off the top of my head. The Initiation is one of them. It's got some things that are similar to this. Um, and then Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, which has Pauly Shore in it, by the way.
Oh gosh.
Um, that one's pretty interesting. It's like a Phantom of the Opera style movie, but um, yeah, I would have liked to see somebody make a slasher movie called Shopping Mall in a shopping mall. But yeah, 4 out of 5 for me. Like I said, it's a quick movie. It's easily digestible and just entertaining.
Rock.
Next week we have another kind of wacky horror comedy with an interesting concept. It's a pretty original concept, and it's a movie Terror Vision. If you guys haven't seen that, definitely watch it before next week, or you can just go into it blindly and we'll explain some of it for you. But I feel like it's got kind of a cult following. It's not one that everybody's heard of, but it's got some really good like creature effects and stuff in it, so it's definitely worth a watch. But if you guys are liking the show, please subscribe and share. Follow us on social media. We're on pretty much every platform. We're pumping out lots of content now for like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok alike. So go on there, check it out. We've got some stuff that's really related to the episodes, and then just like some funny, goofy comedy stuff. But yeah, be sure to follow us on social media. If you guys are really liking the awesomely bad stuff, you can go back. We've done awesomely bad plenty of times. Um, some of the better ones like Miami Connection and The Room and Deadly Prey are ones that we've done once and some of them are scheduled for more times. So check those out. Come out next week. We're going to be talking about Terror Vision. But until then, as always, be kind and rewind.